This is a unboxing of a book. Okay, now I'm opening this and we will see what is it. Oh, interesting. Ooh, a portfolio of lunar drawings by Harold Hill. I've seen some of this in the British Astronomical Association's journal, this kind of drawings. Now I have the book of his drawings. Quite expensive. Took a long time also to come from America. Let's see, for example, the cobra's head and Aristarchus plateau on this. The book is published. Let's go for the details. Cambridge University Press. It was published in the year 1991, so it is out of print definitely. Okay, this is the table of the contents, and it has divided into quadrants, and in the quadrants he has studied the features. But before that, he has a foreword, of course, here by Richard Baum from Chester in February 1990s. And he explains how he has made his drawings, so that is good, educational. It teaches how he's making his drawings, and then how he develops them into the final shape. Let me go to the index and find about the Aristarchus. There is no index. That's a shortcoming in such a book. There is a note from the previous owner, and it has given reference to something in the June 91 issue of the Journal of British Astronomical Association. So review of it by Martin Moberly. And yeah, it's a shortcoming. The first thing is that you pick is that there is no index. But there is little maps of quadrants that shows that the region that he's talking about. But there is no exactly what the quadrant is covering is not mentioned, so it's a shortcoming if they want to ever publish it again, which is unlikely because it's a very small market for such a thing. They have to consider this. And let me just go for another map of these things that they have here, just to find if there is any drawing of the Aristarchus. As you can see, the drawings are very detailed. That makes it really useful. These are the things you will see. Okay. These are all marginal areas. This lava basin is not even has a name. Some of these lava kind of basaltic plains don't have name even anymore. They call them unofficially by something. Some of the features near them. So this one again covers the section 10. The shortcoming is that there is not a whole plan of the moon, then telling which quadrant they have covered. So I've not seen it so far, such a index. Makes the use of these books a little bit difficult and awkward in absence of an index. So these are the central parts in the middle of the moon. That is the Alberta genus Arzako and others. Yeah, I think that there is a lack of this. Some of the drawings are really beautiful. I like them. I really love this book. I'm sure that I will be using it a lot to see the things that we have to see. Mare Prosalium. Prince Herodotus. Okay, that's the one I want to see. So has he covered this? He has covered the prince, but not covered this one. So number 13 and number 12 has not covered this Herodotus plateau. Herodotus and the Aristarchus and the Aristarchus plateau, which I believe is a shield volcano. My observation shows that, based on the observation of similar features on Earth and Mars. And, yeah. Anyway, so it doesn't cover every area, but what it covers anyway is interesting. So this is the Copernicus area. It's interesting. Just after craters, and that's a big mistake they make all the time. They're mapping craters. Craters are usually small craters to medium-sized craters, medium-sized in the lunar scale, are artificial. I mean, superficial features. They don't go into the depth much, so they don't tell us much about the fault lines, grabens, all these things that are interesting, and they form the features we see on the surface. They don't tell us, especially about the volcanism on the moon. They tell us a lot, but they're not mentioned. And as a astronomer, amateur astronomer, this guy Harold Hill has just covered mostly craters, a few sinus reels in this kind of volcanic lava tubes, and fault lines, narrow ones, the small ones are covered, but not the major. By the way, it can be useful for somebody who wants to look at this in more detail, things that are not visible in the with a certain only visible at certain times, at a certain shadow level and the brightness level. So it's a good book. If you don't need it, you will not buy it. You will not even consider it, especially because it's not an atlas. It's not an atlas. You cannot use it as an atlas. It's not covering every region of the moon. Just some features are covered. But if you want to, out of interest, you just have a look and see some areas in more detail. That's definitely a good book. And it's quite expensive, £31. And it came from America and Britain. We don't had a good price for this. It was very expensive. Some of the copies I've seen. So this is my review of this book by Harold Hill, A Portfolio of Lunar Drawings. It was good for him probably if he wanted to go get a job. That's it. That's the reason they call it portfolio. And that's his lifetime spent on drawing. Yes, for example, some of these lunar domes are drawn here. They are a small feature compared to what the Aristarchus plateau is. But anyway, they usually are along the fault lines, and many of them you can actually follow the trace of the fault line. Linear trace surface manifestation of it. Interesting book. Of course, it's better to be used with the true observation of the moon and also looking at the atlases that are available in conjunction with the photographic atlases, especially, so you can use it with them, along them, because look, they show different shadow levels, so you may see some features. And most of the features, actually, when you look with the telescope, you don't see them on atlases or photographic atlases, because that time that you have taken that observation, have done that observation or taken a photograph, may not be available to somebody who made an atlas. So your observation can be unique. And that is the reason I say that observing moon yet has any prevalence. Yes, it's relevant. It's relevant to observe it, and you will find things that are not known. As I did, I made observation of the Aristarchus plateau, and I came to the conclusion with the geologist side that this is a shield volcano. Why nobody has mentioned this is beyond me. And one example of this localized view, that you will see something, but at the same time you don't see the whole picture, is these domes, Goethuysen, and the mountains of Zeta, Delta, and Gamma. And these are the lunar domes. Well, when you look actually on the moon, observing the moon, I mean, with an eye through a telescope, or look at even a good lunar atlas, you will notice there are fault lines which pass from this side to this side, from this side to this side, and those fault lines have a manifestation at the surface. You can see that, and by those fault lines you know that these were the reason that we have these two little domes, which are small shield volcanoes, or small not shield volcanoes. They're kind of, volcanic domes, as we call it. Can be more silice rich than the shield volcano. That's the reason they're very localized. By the way, these are interesting features. You can see them in this. I have modified my Mead ETX 125 to accept